Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me tonight. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a palette on an apron, which you can use a canvas or whatever you want. Should be pretty simple, actually. I think very easy, beginner level project. I'm going to make the flowers very simple, and you can add your name or personalize it, change the colors, whatever you want to do. Got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's going to be manning chat for us, so if you've got questions during the live show, you can ask him in the chat, and he will get those to me while we work. All right, let's get started. Okay, so I have started out. I found this apron at Hobby Lobby. I have a link in the description to a materials list, and on Amazon, I put the apron that's closest to this one that I could find. But what I've done is taken a piece of cardboard and cover it with tin foil. You can see the tin foil on the edges there. And then be sure that you pre-wash anything that you use. So if you use a t-shirt or an apron in this case, wash it beforehand. Don't use fabric softener. Don't use a dryer sheet. Just plain, water and soap, and dry it, and then you're going to stretch it on this piece of prepared cardboard. And I use duct tape to secure it and really taped it down well so that it's nice and stretched flat. You don't want it to be moving at all while you're painting. And then I've put it underneath another board here so that I've got even a little bit more support. And I thought about it later. I probably could have used this board instead of my cardboard. It would have been easier, but oh well. Would have been harder because the cardboard does flex a little bit, but that's all right. So we're going to be painting this. This is my logo. Oh, I'll get it closer here for you. And ever since we got it this last year, I guess last spring, I've been wanting to paint it. So we're going to take out my name here. You can put your name in or whatever you want to do, but we're going to paint it as close, pretty close to the original there. So that was our inspiration. Figured it'd be a fun kind of artist apron. So
sounds fun to me.
I know. I don't know if you're going to want to wear it. What?
No, but one clarification for our folks in England.
Right.
That's aluminium foil.
Okay.
So just footnote there.
So they know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Okay. You could also use wax paper. So I don't know what they call it. Parchment paper, anything like that. Just want something to protect it so that the paint doesn't seep through your cardboard and onto the other side of your t-shirt or whatever you're going to be using. All right. So I am going to figure out where I wanted to put it. I kind of checked it on myself to see, kind of how big I wanted the palette to be. And I kind of wanted it to kind of cover the front part of the chest. So I'm going to come down from the top of the apron. The top of the apron is actually right up here underneath the tape there. It actually goes right up to the edge of the board. So that's where the edge is. So I'm going to come down just probably 3 fingers widths from that edge of the tape and kind of make a little line with some chalk. And then I'm going to come down here and fill up this whole area and just do kind of a curved line down like that, sort of a sideways C, almost like a C. And then it's going to come up pretty sharply. This side is going to curve around like this. So this side is a little bit more gradual. This side is kind of a little bit flatter and more, it kind of comes down a little steeper. This side is a little bit more rounded, so you could kind of probably use a circle or something like that if you wanted to. Leave plenty of room up here for your flowers though, so don't get it too close to the top up here. You want to have room for your 3 big flowers right there, there, and there. And then it's going to come down and just a little bit farther down than this one, like this. So these 2 lines are almost parallel. So if you kind of check your angles there, these 2 lines should kind of come down and be kind of parallel right here. You're going to come up like that, and this little section is shorter than this section. And there's your little palette shape. Pretty simple. Then we're going to put some colors in here, like in there. And then if you want to put your name in here, whatever, you can. What I would do if I was going to do a name, I don't think I'm going to put my name on mine. I'm just going to leave it blank. But you could make sure that I'm leaving enough room over here for these leaves here. Sorry, I'm thinking. Okay, so yeah, that'll be plenty of room. I might make this one a little bit smaller so I can move this one over a little bit. What was I saying? Oh, print it off. Sorry. Print off on your computer. Go on there on Word or whatever program, program that you have, and print off your name in, whatever size it is that looks good. It's probably going to be about 6 inches or so. And then just use that and transfer, like with some white graphite paper, onto your thing when we get time. Actually, we'd be using dark because we're going to be painting this background white. Okay, let's go over our colors real quick.
30 seconds.
Mark's not. Okay. There's titanium white, unbleached titanium, quinacridone magenta, cadmium red light, cadmium yellow medium, yellow oxide, phthalo green yellow shade, teal, phthalo blue green shade, Dioxazine purple, burnt umber, and burnt sienna. This color is these two, phthalo green and phthalo blue plus white mixed together. So it's just pre-mixed. And this one can be mixed with some white and a little bit of yellow oxide and maybe a touch of burnt umber. Okay. And then the other really important thing to do is to have a textile medium. This one was a couple bucks at Hobby Lobby. There's all kinds of different brands that sell these, and they're usually mixed up with the craft paints. I know Golden carries a more professional one. So pretty much all of the acrylic brands will have some sort of textile medium. What it does is make your paint a little bit more flexible so that you can wash it. Because if you don't use this, the acrylic paint can crack. It will stay on your piece of clothing, but it will eventually crack, or if you wash it especially, it will crack a little bit. So I'm just going to put a few drops of this by each one of my colors so that when I pick it up I can have some. This may be messy. We'll see. You're going to use like one part of this to 2 parts paint. So that's kind of the ratio. And I'm going to grab this is my number 8 bright. Just kind of a medium size flat brush, and I'm going to mix in with my white in with this fabric medium. It's going to make it a little bit thinner than we're normally used to. So we may need to use a couple of extra coats to get it to cover. I don't know. We'll see. So that looks pretty good. And I'm just going to start right in the middle. Yeah, it's going on all right. And you can see how it kind of soaks in. It's a little bit different than on canvas because, of course, when we're painting on canvas, we've prepped it with gesso. The ones that you buy in the store are already pre-gessoed, and so it's prepped and primed, ready to paint with acrylics. So it doesn't kind of soak in like this is doing. This is actually using a lot more paint than I had planned. So
Do I need to run down to the store and get some more?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. All right.
I think we're going to be okay.
Hey, we got a question, though, regarding paint.
Yep.
Somebody want to know, is there like a expiration date or like a use by time frame after you've opened the paint? Or is it varying depending on how often
you can pretty much tell, with your paints if they're past their prime, they'll be sticky or they'll get clumps and things like that. But if it's still hasn't separated all the way, and like with the craft acrylics, they'll separate, so you just kind of mix them back up and they're good to go. But like your professional acrylics, they'll last years and years and years. So as long as they are still looking pretty good, then I say they're fine to use. Yeah, it's pretty obvious when they go bad.
Kind of like milk.
Exactly. Pretty much.
You know when it's bad.
You know when it's bad, yeah. Yeah. All right, so I'm just using the edge of my brush to kind of get a clean line here, and it's just gonna draw it along the edge there. This is actually going down pretty smoothly on this. This has got kind of a low nap apron. So if you're using like a canvas apron that's like the regular, just straight canvas, raw canvas. That's that beige color, whatever. Chances are it's going to be a little bit heavier texture than this one is. So just keep that in mind. You may have to work at it a little bit harder to get your lines straight along those edges. So, but you could really use any color apron that you wanted to. I think it'd be pretty. And then just change the colors of your fabric or your flowers, to suit it. This is going on pretty well, but I'm definitely going through the paint. Man, I put out a lot of that white, and it is soaking it up.
Yeah, when you were getting it out just before we started, you were like, oops.
Yeah,
like
I know. I put out
much.
way more than I thought I needed, and then this is really soaking it in.
Well, that's good. It's getting down inside the fabric.
Yeah, it is. It's seeping down in there really well. And I definitely think I'll probably need to get a couple coats on here because it's going to be a little bit...
No, too bad I don't wear aprons while I'm playing video games.
They could make you...
Then I could do like a tank or something
tank
on there.
One on it.
Yeah. That would be fun.
Somebody's going to send you a tank apron now.
That's okay. I won't wear it while I'm playing. So just
No, please don't. Okay, I'm just going to kind of go over here and just sort of smooth out any rough edges. You don't want any kind of lumps there, so just smooth it out. If you see any ridges, I'm going to go over the top of those and just... It's actually giving you some pretty good working time too. It's staying wet quite a while, so I may have to have you help me dry this. We'll see. I don't know.
That's true.
Might be tricky. All right. It's probably still not enough. We'll see. I probably should have used my cheaper white. Okay, put a few drops there. Mix that in. At first, it just kind of wants to set on top, but then it kind of will work itself in there. Maybe give it another couple drops. There we go.
Okay, somebody's asked, would you want to wet the material that you're painting on before?
I wouldn't. I don't think so. I've never heard of doing that. I don't know. It might be. They might not know. They might have something that I don't. I don't know if you. I've never heard of doing that, but
sounds like somebody spilled a drink on their clothes, and I want to know, do that to wait for it to dry.
An excuse.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I mean, I know we paint down wet down the canvas to make it easier for the paint to go on. So, I mean, it makes sense that you would wet down the fabric, but I've never tried it, so I don't see why it would hurt because the water would just evaporate off eventually.
Well, so while we're doing this, we can say hi, welcome.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
I'm very happy to have you. We hope that you'll subscribe if you haven't already and join us in chat for our live shows. We do these twice a week, and we're all about just helping you learn how to paint with acrylics in a fun and relaxing environment. Take all the stress out of it, try to hopefully make it easy for you to start a new hobby or continue with one that you haven't done for a while. We've got a lot of people that say they used to paint and just kind of got away from it and started again, or never have painted and got inspired, and they've been really surprised with how well they've been able to do and impress their family with their new artistic skills. So that's what it's all about for us. Just kind of helping you achieve your goals in art. All right, I got outside my line there. I was talking so much.
Sorry, I should have talked for you.
No,
hey, so the main difference between the heavy bodies that you're using and not heavy bodies is just the heavy bodies has a little bit
thicker.
Thicker and a little bit more pigment in it.
Right.
Okay.
Well, depending on the brand, I mean, there's craft paint are not professional. They're thinner and they're not professional. You can use them, I mean, to do professional work. You're just they're not as pigmented. The colors can shift a little bit. They can be a little bit unpredictable with blending and that kind of thing. Heavy body acrylics are typically what a lot of artists use for their work, but the professional quality paints come in different viscosities. So like Golden has a fluid line like this. It's actually the same consistency as a craft paint, but it's got a lot higher pigment load, and so it's basically the equal to these heavy body acrylics. So it just depends on which, what you're getting. If it says professional on the label, then that's usually what lets you know that it's got the highest pigment load available and such. So, all right. Oh yeah, it's definitely wet. Okay.
I hope you have something to do for about a half hour while I'm drying that.
I'm afraid. Let me see if I can get a second coat on there.
Do you have another painting to do, kind of like as a bonus?
I know. I didn't think about this. It's been a long time. I used to paint on fabric quite a bit, but it's been a long time since I've done it. And if you want to use the fabric paints too, you can squeeze those out and use. I wouldn't use your good brushes with it, but you could use your brushes with it, and that stuff that comes in the little tubes in different colors. You can use that as well. So I think it dries a little bit faster than regular paint though. So just be careful. And if you're going to be using like a pen or one of those squeeze tip bottles, just make sure that you get all the air out of it and shake it down and test it on a paper towel first, because they burp and they'll get splatters on your paint. So if you're going to do your name with one of those, which makes it a lot easier to do your name with it, but it can
look like you did it with spray paint.
Right, exactly. Okay, that's covered pretty well. I guess I can let that dry and see how it does. I'm going to clean that out.
Should I turn the fan on? Maybe get some air moving over there for you?
Yeah, you can do that. That'd be a good idea. Actually, that's why I turned off the humidifier, because I was thinking, we're probably going to want it drier. The drier, the better. In here, we had our humidifier going earlier.
We finally got a new humidifier. We don't want it on.
I know, I don't want it on.
I guess I can turn it on anyway.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and try to put on our flowers, and we'll see how it goes here. I'm going to mix some of that Quinacridone Magenta with the fabric medium. I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm going to grab some of this Unbleached Titanium with a little bit of that and make a pink. It'll kind of make a little bit more peachy pink, because that Unbleached Titanium's got a little bit of that yellowish tone to it. So I'll make a couple of varieties here. And I'm definitely going to need more white. I think I've got another white in backup, so I'm probably going to need it. Maybe not tonight, but I think I might have. Hopefully I have enough to get us through. All right.
It was a good demonstration of how to put the top back on there. It was a little out of focus, but I think they got the gist of it. Yeah.
Well, you know, what you do is you go back, you do it the wrong way until you feel it snap in, and then you turn it. That way you don't get the threads out of alignment. There is a trick to it.
Yep, just watched it. It came through good there. Good job.
Huh?
I just watched it live.
Right. Yeah, just saying. Exciting.
So now does that work on any caps? Like pickle jars?
Yeah. Yep.
Toothpaste?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep, you do it backwards until it kind of sets in there and then... Shut up. God. You're so mean to me.
And that one's free, everybody.
And he's he's over there rolling his eyes at me.
I mean, I know I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but...
Okay, well, you kept asking about it, so I was like, okay, I guess he wants to know. Just a dork. Okay, so I'm going to create my big pink flower right in here. And I'm going to go ahead and put it down this kind of soft pink color first, and then we'll put some lighter colors over the top. So this will be kind of our first layer. Okay, so I'm using a Filbert this time. I've switched to a number 4 Filbert, so it's a little bit smaller than the brush I was using before. And I'm just going to pull in some petals and sort of roughly have this my center right here, right in here. So make sure if this paint is starting to dry, it doesn't lift on you. So if it's starting to like leave empty spots where it is lifting, you may need to dry it first and then come back.
It's kind of like when it gets tacky, it'll lift on you?
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. So you don't want that to happen. But it looks like it's covering pretty well. Love it. And these kind of flowers are pretty simple, so really just gonna do pulling from the outside in. They're sort of little heart-shaped petals, roughly heart-shaped, but they're really not particularly clean, if that makes sense. The design, if you can see there, it's pretty impressionist or abstract, kind of, not abstract, but impressionist, kind of messy. And a little bit of water every now and then, just to keep my brush moist. There we go. And I'm just trying to kind of get off these little fuzzies that are happening on the edges. I want to make sure that that paint makes really good contact and there's no holes in there. So I want to get it, push it down into those, into the fibers of the apron fabric. Okay, there we go. So there's our first flower, at least the beginning of it. Clean out my brush here. And actually, before I clean it out, I'm going to go ahead and grab some of that pink and make my spot over here and just kind of do a little dab like that. Maybe get a little bit of the darker color and put that on there, like it's been mixed. And then let's put some of this with the Quinacridone Magenta down here. Don't overthink it, just kind of slap it on there. And get it roughly the same size but different shaped, if that makes sense. So we want each of these spots to be kind of similar size but not exactly the same shape. That'll make them look a little bit more natural. Okay. Looks good. So let's grab some more of that Quinacridone Magenta. And this is the part that I had already mixed up with the fabric medium, so it's already in there. and let's put our other flower that's right in here in. And this one's kind of a circle almost, so I'm just going to kind of create a loose circle. Here again, just make sure my outside edges are, they don't have to be perfectly clean, but I just want to make sure that that paint is pushed down into the fabric. There we go. A little bit thicker paint there. Put it right there towards the center. And I'm going to wipe that off and grab some of this lighter color. Maybe a little bit of white. And just kind of dab in a random sort of C shape or upside down U shape. And kind of do that along that top edge of it. Just like that. Put in some white little dabs. Kind of thick paint here. It actually makes it really easy to blend with these, this on fabric here. It actually gives you a lot of time to kind of go back and smush and blend your paints around. So I think if you have trouble blending, you probably really like this. This definitely gives you a little bit extra time to work with it. Okay, there we go. Let's put a tiny bit of this. I'm going to wipe it, most of it off, and I'm just going to put a tiny bit of this darker color on this outer edge of these petals right here. Just a little bit of it. Pulled in toward the center right there. Clean that out. And then let's do some of this purple. Grab some of that. I'm making a big puddle because I'm going to mix this color. You could actually mix it in cups probably if you wanted to keep it a little bit less messy. I'm going to put a little bit of this color right here in the center of that flower. Right down low. Right there. And then this one is going to have some of it as well, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to mix up some of this Quinacridone Magenta with the purple. It's going to make a more violet color. We'll use that for this flower right here. So there's going to be a splotch of green right here. So we'll leave a space for that. And this one is going to be right up in here. And it's sort of a flat, saucer-shaped flower. If you're doing this on canvas, it's probably super fast painting. It's taking a little bit extra time to get it to settle down into the fabric here, but it's actually pretty simple design. Okay, and then there's one petal that kind of comes down here like that. Let's grab some of that purple. Put some of that down here. And then I'm going to grab some white. Mix that with this color. Put some white along some of those edges. pulling in towards the center right here. Just spraying my palette to keep it moist while I'm working. So I'm going to grab a little bit of the fabric medium and a little bit of my cadmium red light mixed with this Quinacridone Magenta. Is going to make a red, like a cherry red. I probably got way too much of the cadmium red light there. I want a little bit more on the red side than the orange side, so just kind of use a little bit more of the quinacridone than the cadmium red light. And then there's a little bit of that color on the inside right there of this. And then I'm going to mix it with that background color and put a little bit of it in here too. Okay. Wipe that clean. Grab my purple. Tap in the purple in the center. Gonna need a couple coats there because it's not one to cover. Right.
So basically you're using the same techniques on fabric by putting different layers of paint to get the depth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yes, sir. All right, let's grab this teal and mix some of that fabric medium in with that. I'm going to use that on this spot right here. Get that off my brush a little bit. And then there's going to be, let me switch to a little bit smaller brush. Let me get my, I guess I'll get this one. This is my number 2 bright. I'll grab a little bit of that, a little bit of the white. And I'm going to grab a little bit of this Phthalo blue as well. So I want some of the Phthalo blue mixed with that teal color. So I have kind of 3 layers, sort of a blue, darker teal, and then the lighter teal mixed with the white. Alright, and then I'm just going to use all 3 of these and dab, little dabs. Actually, I probably want to put that flower in first, now that I'm seeing it. Never mind, I'm going to wait. We'll put on this white flower first. I'm just going to get a new brush. We'll get this one here. This is my angle, number 6 angle. Bright.
Got a couple questions when you're ready.
Okay.
First question is about, somebody asked about putting possibly a clear gesso down before you painted. Would you recommend doing that, or would that help? Or
yeah, I mean, you could do it underneath your design for sure. Yeah.
so the paint would be okay when it come off the fabric?
Well, it wouldn't come off, but it might crack. You really need that fabric medium to make it flexible.
To really grab into
Yeah,
it?
I need that gesso's gonna, you know.
Put a barrier, separate it?
Right,
Okay.
right.
And
Well, yeah. Go for it. What?
and then about how long does a glazing liquid help keep the paint wet and
It'll help a little bit. It doesn't extend it a ton, but it does give you just a little bit extra time. So I don't really know. It probably depends on how much you add in too, but
okay, so I was going to estimate about 93.7 seconds.
extra.
Yeah. But
That would be about right,
that's
maybe.
a rough estimate.
I don't know. I really don't. It's kind
Give or take an hour. But I'm not a professional.
I'm not using that tonight, so I really can't show you the difference, or I would. But we can try it another night and see with and without if it makes a big difference. I'm just noticing that blue was kind of poking through some places, so here I'm just going to go back over, give it the third coat of white. On here it is soaking up that white. I really don't have to do this if you don't care about it being perfectly, white. You can let it be a little see-through.
But that is not Angela.
Well, no. Okay. There we go. A little bit better.
So
I think I got a little bit of that pink on there.
I just want to remind everybody that down below the video, you can click the view more and the links to Amazon with all the stuff you're using is on there. Is your Amazon store.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you all the...
Do I remember if I put... I think I did put... Yes, I put the Textile Medium in there too. I was just trying to remember if I added it to my store.
Let me look right now.
I think I did.
Through it. It has your paint palette on here and glazing liquids and pens and
all kinds of stuff.
paints.
Okay.
All this
I'm
art
adding a little
stuff.
bit more of the clean Unbleached Titanium down here. I'm going to mix it with my fabric medium.
Oh, you got a ton of stuff in here.
I know.
I mean, everything.
Pretty much everything that I use in my videos, or have used in the last year, down there. All the colors, canvases, brushes, some brushes. I would recommend going to the brush guys to buy your brushes because they're a little bit expensive on the Amazon website. Sorry, Amazon. But it's the truth. So, all right. So let's...
Plus you get 5% off at the brush guys.
Exactly.
Using code Angela Fine Art.
Code Angela Fine Art, yep. Okay, so let's do... This one is kind of more like a mum almost.
So when it comes down to like phthalo blue and green, are those common paints that you use? Or like if somebody was going to invest in paints, would those be some that...
The palette that I've got out right now is pretty much the palette that I use pretty regularly. I might add a few more colors to it, but ultramarine blue is not on here, but would be a good color, and maybe a cadmium red medium or something like that. But for the most part,
like the person asked specifically about the phthalo blue.
Yeah, phthalo blue green shade and yellow, and like cadmium yellow or Hansa yellow medium will make phthalo green, so you don't have to buy both. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. I think I got this one too big. It shouldn't go as high as I got it, but oh well. Too late now. There's one thing about painting on fabric, it's pretty much you can't get it back once it's down. I could maybe try to wash that out, but it might be a pain in the butt, so it's not going to happen. All right, and then I'm going to grab some white. And I'm going to use some white.
So if you're just joining us, thank you. Give us a thumbs up. If you like in the video, you can subscribe to the channel. And then you can join us in chat if you got any questions that you may have. But this is only for the live viewers.
True.
I can't go into the future and answer your questions on the replay. If you join us in chat tonight, you can help us name a cat.
There you go.
So,
I like it.
extra bonus you didn't expect on a Tuesday night.
Naming a cat. Huh? Somebody need a name for their new cat?
Yes, apparently Kim
Nice.
Sim.
Nice. Reminds me of when we named Cashmere Lancelot before we realized she was a girl kitty. So she yeah, that happened. Funny. Okay, I'm going to use this light color here in the center of this flower to kind of lighten it up. Pull some over the top, but I'm just kind of letting it drag. It's kind of blending a little bit. If you want it more blended, you could pick up a little bit of that pink and sort of pull down the opposite way with the pink now that it's dry. It'll blend a little bit with it. Pretty. Okay, I'm going to grab a little bit more white and add a little bit more white highlight along this one. I'm just going to dab it and give it a couple little dots. And then pick up some of that pink and do some highlights on this one. Actually probably want a little bit of purple in there, so I'm going to add a little purple to that. So it's a little bit more of a lavender. There we go. Some of that quinacridone and purple. And let's mix in with my white that's on my brush. We'll just give it another little second coat because it went on pretty dark the first time. There we go. A little bit more of the Quinacridone Magenta here and just, there we go. Just kind of lightly blending those colors. Okay. And then let's add a little bit of Unbleached Titanium to that color, the Quinacridone Magenta color. And we'll dab it a couple of places on this flower. Go. And grab that purple. I think I'm going to grab a little phthalo blue too, just make it a little bit more blue. And I'm going to dab with that color in the center. I like that blue. Let's put a little bit of it in this one too. And then wipe that off. Grab a little bit of white. Oop. And there's some white little dabs right around that center of that flower. There. And then a little bit in here. I'm just using the corner of my brush here. It's a nice thing about angle brushes. You can get these little tiny dots. Okay. clean that out. I'm going to grab the yellow oxide here, mix that with the unbleached titanium. Or, I'm sorry, mix that with the fabric medium, and then I'm going to grab a little bit of unbleached titanium just to soften it a little bit. And I'm going to start in the center and just kind of pull some little lines out from the center of this flower, just to kind of create some depth in it. And grab a little bit of that pink, if I can get any. Yep. Dab a little bit of that in. The center part's going to be pointing straight at us, so all we're going to see is these little tips, little dots on the tip of the flower. So don't paint long lines from the middle, and in the center we're just going to want to put a few little dots like that. And then the outside petals, we can do these kind of longer shapes. It'll look a little bit more, if that makes sense. Right?
Yes.
It does? It does? Good. Okay.
Whatever you're saying makes sense.
Following me? Okay. I'm going to use the tip of that to dab in that color there, and then I'm going to grab some of that red that we mixed up before for this color. Mix that with maybe get some of that Cadmium Red Light. Mix that with that color and then dab some of that on. There we go. And then we'll wipe that off. Grab some of that unbleached titanium. Mix that with the white, just a softer version, and I want to dab in a little bit of that in the center of this flower as well. Okay, just little dots. Okay, looks good. All right, let's use this color. This is kind of a peachy pink. I've got this Cadmium Red Light, a little bit of the Quinacridone Magenta, and the Unbleached Titanium all on my brush, and I still even had some of this yellow oxide in there too. And I'm going to add some little flowers, if I can get them small enough. I may have to switch brushes. Let me switch brushes. Let's get this little smaller one. Create some little flowers. Just be using the edge of my brush. I'm drawing some little tiny flowers, and then they're going to be over here on this one, on this side of this flower. Just kind of little oval shapes, really, is all they are. They're not anything distinct. Put a few of them over here. Really pressing them down into that canvas. I say canvas, fabric.
The world is a canvas. That was pretty deep.
The world is your canvas.
That too.
I like it. Okay. Now we're going to grab that turquoise. Hopefully it hasn't dried on us. Just trying. I'm going to spray it real quick. And we're going to dab, and I really didn't leave enough room here between these two, so I'm going to go right over the top of this flower with quite a bit of these turquoise dabs. Grab some of that blue, do some of the blue up here. And grab some white. Do some of the lighter colored dabs. And really that's all it is. I'm just setting my brush down and lifting, dabbing. There we go. Let's grab a little bit of this phthalo green. Well, I've got that teal on my brush. We'll kind of soften that phthalo green up a little bit. I'll grab a little bit of white. And if you notice, I'm always kind of grabbing a little bit extra the medium too, so don't ever forget to do that. And I'm going to make some leaf shapes with this brush. Start putting in some leaves. Use that flat edge to kind of create the center, and then you can kind of smush it down to get a thicker part, and then lift it up to get smaller.
Easy peasy, just like that. Done.
Are you making fun of me?
Well, no, you say just make a leaf shape here. Oh, okay. Do you have other tutorials that help?
I do.
With these other?
Yes, I do. I have lots of tutorials that help with all these different. I'm adding white yellow to this color now, so I've got a little bit of yellow on this leaf. And I would say, if you're having trouble kind of keeping inside the lines, then less is better. I would just kind of don't try to clean up your lines too much, because the more you mess with it, the bigger your leaf is going to get, or the leaf or your petal or whatever it is you're working on. So just kind of know that, get it close. It doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be exactly like mine or like the example. Just kind of, it's supposed to be fun, so don't stress out too much if it's not exactly the way you intended it to turn out. That can happen with painting with acrylics, especially. They can, when you're first starting out, people don't give themselves the permission to be a beginner. We all start out. You wouldn't start out, skiing on the diamond slope. You wouldn't start out playing piano at a Mozart level or something like that. So, just know that it might be a little bit more difficult for you at first, but you can get there if you practice, and just kind of give yourself permission to paint a few paintings that maybe not exactly what you had hoped for before you're get a little bit more confidence and start improving a little bit. So, but I'm all about being proud of whatever level you're at. Okay, let me add a little bit of phthalo green, phthalo blue here. I added just phthalo green on this one, and to do the leaves, I kind of was talking while I was doing the leaves. I just kind of set it down and smushed as I was pulling the leaf. So let's do some over here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Oh, let me actually, before I do that, I'm going to put in my green paint spot there.
So about how hard do you think this is to do as we're painting level?
The flowers are not hard at all. The leaves are probably the hardest part of this, I would think. You know, maybe getting your edges clean over here can take some work, but
For me, watching you do this,
uh-huh.
I think it's relatively an easy painting,
Yes.
but doing it on fabric
Yeah,
makes it difficult.
it does. It makes it a little bit more difficult. You're right.
Because I was thinking, how would you erase a mistake?
Yeah, that's true.
You really can't erase it.
You
You're
really
going to have to
can't. Yeah.
make it into something.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and you can always, you know, if you make a big, you know, a boo-boo or something, you can always put a flower there, put a small, you know, little dab or another leaf or something like that, you know, so don't feel like it always, you know, if you make a mistake, it has to be that you've ruined it. You know, there's a lot of ways to fix things. So I've got that phthalo green in my brush here, and I picked up a little bit of that burnt sienna, and I'm mixing it with that yellow oxide. For some reason, I can't say that name today. It's escaping me every time. Okay. I'm going to press my brush flat. And I'm going to do some long wiggly lines. So I'm just going to wiggle, wiggle. Make sure your brush is nice and flat. I've probably got way too much paint in mine right now. Okay, go right over the top of my flower here. And right into these little ones that I made before. Okay, let's get some purple. Mix that. Grabbing some of that unbleached titanium there. Grab a little bit more. Get some fabric medium so it's staying flexible. And some more white here. It's too dark. There we go. Okay, so this mixed with the color that I had previously with a little bit of purple added, and I'm going to use it and wiggle, create some lines up this way. Just kind of setting it down and sort of letting the brush kind of, I'm not even really moving the brush, I'm just sort of pressing down a little bit and moving, letting the brush sort of drag as it's wiggling. You could use a smaller brush if you're not getting small enough lines for this. You could use a liner brush even. If you're having trouble, you could use a real small fine liner. I find that it's easier to paint lines with my flat brush though. That's just my opinion. I'm grabbing some of that green now. I'm going to add some green in here. Just a few little bits of green going right over the top of this flower. I'm going to make some come down in here too. I want some. Oh, actually, I've got that. I need to do the yellow right there. We do that first. So we're almost done. Just a few more leaves and we're done. So let me grab the yellow oxide here. And this one is yellow oxide. Can add a little bit of white. Maybe even grab a little bit of that yellow. Just soften it up, brighten it up a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and go right up to that flower there. we go. Let's use some of that color in the center of this one. Really bright white highlights. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I'm going to add a little bit of this color over here on this flower. And then grab some white. And put some white highlights back in. It dried, kind of showed through some colors there. How are we hanging in, honey? Is it okay?
Doing super. Trying to answer.
Hanging in there?
Trying to answer questions.
Okay.
I think I told them that the first flower on the right is a peony.
I don't know. I don't think I said. But
Oh, you didn't? Okay. Well, I made that up then.
okay. First flower on the right here. Yeah, it could probably be a peony. Yeah. Yeah, it probably could. Cabbage rose, some sort of flower like that.
Yeah, that was my second guess. Cabbage rose.
That's it. Can't get at your flowers. You should be by now.
Yeah, I said either
You hang around
peony
with me.
or sunflower. One of those two.
What did you say?
No, I said peony or sunflower.
Peony or sunflower?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's one of those two.
One of those two.
I know, and it's not a rose.
It's not a rose, no. Okay. All right, adding phthalo green, yellow, cadmium yellow, and a little bit of that unbleached titanium. Grabbing some fabric medium to soften that up. We'll use this color to put our leaves in over here. So here's how I'm doing these leaves. I'm starting out at the tip, and I'm kind of drawing a line, and then I press down and pull for the leaf, and then lift up. And then if I need to, I can clean up that edge, and then do it's there.
Hashtag side cam.
Okay. What are you laughing at?
Someone posted that they're glad that it's not an ornament. That I don't think I've laughed so much in that one tutorial ever. That was hilarious. That was pretty fun. That was a candle, if you missed it. It's worth a visit. Just to hear Mark say ornament. All right. And I'm not going to tell you why. Grabbing some Quinacridone Magenta here, and I'm going to make the stems and the centers of these with the Quinacridone Magenta. There. I may need a little bit of white to kind of make that show up a little bit better. There we go. Okay, and then there's, let's see. There's some leaves right in here. Put in a couple leaves right there. Looks like there's some leaves or something up in here. And then I'm going to use phthalo green. Add some white. I still have a little bit of that
pink in my brush, so it's kind of creating a softer color. I'm going to grab a little bit of yellow, brighten that up a little bit. There we go. And then we're going to put this stems on for these little guys over here. Let me clean my brush out. Phthalo green, a little bit of yellow, cadmium yellow, some white, and some fabric medium. Okay, let's try that again. So let's go down from here up, put in little, attach little stems to each one of these little guys there. And I think I'm going to put a leaf just because I feel like it needs one right there.
You're doing a pretty good job over there.
Thanks.
Keep it up. I might make you dinner tonight.
Ooh. Nice. Well, I'm making the traceable for this. If you want the traceable for this, I will have it available on my Patreon page. So after the show, you can check that out. It'll probably take me about an hour or so to get it up. But all of my traceables for all of the videos since February last year are available on Patreon now, and it's $1 a month to help support our channel, and you get all the traceables that you want for $1 a month. So it's a pretty good deal. Put a few more leaves in here. And then I think I'm going to add a couple of leaves down this way. Maybe just a few little random ones to fill in some space. Let's do a couple over here. Maybe put a couple in. Oh yeah, there's some little dots along this one. I forgot. So I'm grabbing fairly thick paint here on my brush, and I'm going to dab little dots along some of these stems. There's little flower berries or something attached. Okay, we're getting there. Almost done. Let's put a few stems in for these little guys down here. Those little pink flowers that we did earlier. A couple leaves. Can add some highlights with this color on some of these leaves over here. Just kind of brush a little bit of it on to sort of give a little highlight. I think I want some more of that turquoise down here because we don't have a lot of it, so I'm going to grab some of that teal, a little bit of white, and do some of these teal berries down in here. Just, it's not on the picture, but I want to add a few. Okay. And I'm going to add a little bit of this green color on our green paint swatch. Got a highlight there. Let's grab a little bit of the white teal color. Add a little bit of highlight on it. Just make it look like it's mixed a little bit. And then I'm going to grab a little bit more of that purple and dab in some really dark purple dots right there. Really pull that out. Okay, oh, I forgot our brushes. We need to do our brushes, huh? So I thought that this would be a short one, but it's not. It's just, well, the fabric slows it down. It's what?
I'm laughing that you thought it was going to be short.
I really did. I thought it was going to be a short one, but
I know, but I just laugh that you still tell yourself that.
all right, grabbing the purple, added some white to it, and let's do our, now the brush is totally optional. You don't have to add those. You could use tape if you want to, make sure that your lines are straight. I'm going to press down nice and hard right there to get it a little bit thicker, and then taper it down. Grab some turquoise. Let's do this one a little bit blue. Some white. Turquoise, phthalo blue. And we'll cross it over right here. This way. And then let's grab the burnt umber and a little bit of phthalo blue, maybe a little bit of that orange. See if we can get a black. If you have black, just grab black. I don't have black on my palette today. Going to create kind of a gray color here. Put a little bit of that right there and there by the top of my silver part of my brush. And then I'm going to use some burnt umber, burnt sienna mixture. Grab some white. And make a leaf shape for our brush tips. All right. You might want to put a second coat on there, but I think I'm going to call it good. I'm going to put a little bit of a highlight on my flowers up here. Mixed up a little bit of that cadmium red light with some unbleached titanium there. Add some of it over here too. Okay, I think we're done. What do you think? Pretty close.
That's good.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Looking at what fabric medium we used.
Oh. Okay, I'm gonna clean that up because that kind of got a little thick right there. And then if you want to, you can go back in with some white and your yellow oxide or something. And do some little lines in your paintbrush hairs. But we're going to have to let that dry because it's not going to want to do it yet. Get some of that darker color, maybe try it with that. There we go. There we go. All right, I think I'm going to call it good. There's our little brushes there. Cute. I need to cover it up a little bit more right there. It's starting to be see-through. Let me do that real quick before we go. I want to say thank you guys for watching tonight with us. I hope you try this. It's actually really pretty fun. And a little bit tricky, but not too bad, hopefully. So most of the if you want to make it a little bit easier, if you do most of your leaves kind of facing in towards the palette, it's easier. It'll be easier to cover them up if you make a mistake. So you might practice on the ones kind of towards the inside first and before you do these ones on the outside there. But anyhow, hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed bringing it to you. And we will see you Saturday for another tutorial. And thanks for watching. Bye, guys.